Hello, and welcome to another episode of Practical Penmanship. Today we're going to take a look at a few different fountain pen friendly papers, at least the ones I have in my possession, and comparing them to more standard paper types that you might encounter every day. Here's an overview of the papers we'll be taking a look at. Let's start out with the more economical papers, the Staples 75 GSM Multipurpose paper, and these post-it notes. Now, we're going to be using this Platinum 3076 with an ultra extra fine nib and Roher und Klingner Scabiosa, which is an iron gall ink. This should be our best case scenario. And we'll stop there. As you can see, there's no bleeding, or really any ghosting. But then again, this is the best case scenario. Moving on from that, we have a rather dry stub, the Pilot Plumix, with another Rohornklinger ink, Alt Goldgrün. We don't get any feathering, and really no bleed through, although right there you can see it almost came through. There definitely is some spread. Moving on from there, let's try this Faber-Castell Lume with a media nib and Celery Amadori. Okay, this time we definitely see some more spread. Possibly a hint of feathering. But overall, you can't see that. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus. It looks pretty good. Although, do we have any bleed? It kind of looks like it wanted to come through in a few places. This is definitely not the ideal paper for a media nib such as this. Taking that a notch further, let's try this Kaweco Sport, which has a rather wet medium nib. The ink is Robert Oster Turquoise, although it is quite diluted. Okay, we definitely get some spread on this one. Overall, it's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. There's a slight hint of shading, possibly. And bleed through, it didn't go fully through the paper, but there are spots where it wants to come through. Overall, using this paper is pretty decent. I mean, for what it is, it's very economical, and it's stuff that you're going to see widely. The surface isn't as smooth as some of the more premium papers, such as the Rhodia and the Clairefontaine, but it's not terrible. Next up, we have the post-it note. Let's just see how it performs in the worst case scenario first. Yep, that's feathering. Not great. And some bleed as well. Well, not quite fully. For the sake of time here, let's just try our best case scenario, if the camera will focus. Again, we see a slight hint of feathering. It kind of looks a little, I don't know, it has this quality to it. It's just kind of puffy, I guess. Alright, now we have Clairefontaine. Ou Clairefontaine si tu parles français. Sorry about that, my French is terrible. Anyway, let's start with the worst case scenario again, if I can grab it. No bleed through, it seems. As to be expected, this is not a cheap paper, and it's very dense. Going down from there, we have our Faber-Castell loom. Again, no bleed through, no feathering, no spread. I don't even need to check back. Our stub. Again, lovely. I wonder if you can see the shading that you can get on this paper. And our platinum ultra extra fine for fun. Now, Clairefontaine is definitely one of the smoothest papers in this test. Very, I guess you could say, classy. It almost has a quality that isn't like paper, if that makes any sense. It's just not what I'm used to as a person who grew up using a lot of cheaper papers. Now let's do the Rhodia. Rhodia is an 85 grams per square meter paper, made by the same company as Clairefontaine, although the finishing is different. Rhodia has a ceramic coating, starting with loom, because I happened to pick that up. Now the surface of Rhodia definitely isn't as smooth as Clairefontaine. It's a bit more like regular paper, but it's still very smooth. I also find that sometimes with some inks, it's more prone to smudging than some other papers. But again, we have very consistent qualities with the Clairefontaine paper. Good shading, no spread, feathering, bleed through, anything. You can even lay it on really thick. Stub. And the best case scenario. Next up, we have Fabriano, which is an Italian paper, and it's 85 grams per square meter. This is a drawing I made with this paper. It's not suited for drawing, especially if you're going to be using a lot of water. It does work quite well for regular pen drawings. If you lay it on a little thick, you can get a little bit of ghosting. Not quite bleed through. for regular usage. Let's take our worst case scenario. See, I'm a little disappointed with this paper. There's actually maybe a slight amount of ghosting, like one spot where it wanted to come through. I heard good things about this paper, and I thought it would be better than maybe the Clairefontaine or the Rhodia and handling ink. But, you know, it is what it is. There's, if I can get the camera, there's a little bit, I guess you could say, spread. It's not quite. Shading is a little bit limited. Moving on to our lube. It is quite a smooth paper. I definitely really like the texture of it. Looks pretty clean. Stubby. The squid. And a best case. Looks pretty good for the last two. Last but not least is this Canson Artist Series Mixed Media paper, which is 224 grams per square meter. This is a paper I like to use for pen drawings because it takes ink and water really well. You can see it allows for some sheen. I don't think it's quite as much as some of the other papers, but as you can see, I was laying it quite thick, and there's not a hint of ghosting, bleed through, anything. Straight the hydrophobic properties of this Canson media paper, let's do an ink swatch. The ink is Kaweco Palm Green. Let's lay it on really thick on the ends here to really test this paper. Now that's fully dry. As you can see, you get a little bit of sheen from the ink here where it pulled. The back, nada. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video useful. See you next time.